For decades, Gregory Peck was one of Hollywood's most respected stars. Behind his calm, legendary image was a private life filled with love, loss, and complicated relationships. He loved before, but one woman ultimately shared the longest chapter of his life. Her name was Véronique Passani, the French journalist who became his wife and remained by his side for nearly 48 years. Born in 1916, Peck rose from theater to Hollywood during the 1940s. Films like The Keys of the Kingdom, The Yearling, Gentleman's Agreement, and Roman Holiday quickly established him as one of the industry's biggest stars. But fame didn't guarantee happiness. In 1942, Peck married Greta Kukkonen. They had 3 sons, but the marriage eventually ended in divorce. Years later, Peck spoke candidly about that relationship, admitting that it had not worked, and acknowledging that he had not been the husband he should have been. Then came another important chapter. While filming Alfred Hitchcock's Spellbound in 1945, Peck became romantically involved with his co-star Ingrid Bergman. Both were married at the time. Decades later, Peck acknowledged the relationship in a 1987 interview with People, describing his feelings for Bergman as a real love. It was a rare glimpse into the private emotions of a man who usually kept his personal life away from the spotlight. But Ingrid Bergman was not the woman who would share the longest chapter of his life. That story began in Paris. In 1952, French journalist Véronique Passani interviewed Peck while he was visiting France. She was working for France Soir, and what began as a professional meeting eventually became something much more personal. When Peck returned to Paris, he contacted her and asked her to lunch. She had another assignment that day, an opportunity to interview Albert Schweitzer. Instead, she gave the assignment to someone else and went to lunch with Peck. Peck later joked about her decision, telling her, "You made the right choice, kiddo." Whatever happened during that meeting, their relationship developed quickly. In December 1955, after Peck's divorce from Greta Kukkonen became final, he married Véronique Passani. This marriage would last nearly 48 years. Together, Gregory and Véronique had 2 children, Anthony and Cecilia. They also raised Peck's 3 sons from his first marriage, creating a large blended family. And while Gregory's career continued reaching new heights, Véronique remained a steady presence in his private world. She wasn't simply standing beside a movie star. She was building a life with a man whose career demanded enormous amounts of attention. Then, in 1962, Peck gave the performance that would define his legacy. As Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, he portrayed a father defending justice and teaching his children about courage and morality. The role earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor and became one of the most admired performances in American cinema. But behind the awards and Hollywood premieres was still a husband and father. And the family would eventually experience unimaginable tragedy. In 1975, Peck's eldest son, Jonathan, died at the age of 30, in what authorities determined was a suicide. There are moments in a person's life when fame means almost nothing. For Gregory Peck, losing his son was one of those moments, yet he and Véronique continued forward together. They experienced the private pain of family loss while maintaining a life that remained remarkably distant from Hollywood gossip. As the years passed, Peck's reputation only grew. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1969. He was honored by the Kennedy Center in 1991, and his body of work eventually secured his place among the greatest stars in American film history. But Véronique remained part of the story. She accompanied him through public appearances and supported him away from the cameras. People who knew the couple remembered her warmth, intelligence, and energy. Actress Jane Fonda later recalled Véronique during the production of Gringo Viejo, where she saw her caring for Gregory and helping bring humor and warmth to the set. That detail says something important about their relationship. Gregory Peck's screen persona was built around strength and composure. But his private life was not about being invincible. It was about having someone beside him. Someone who knew the man rather than the movie star. And that is why the phrase, "the one woman he truly loved," should be treated carefully. There is no reliable evidence that Peck ever made that exact declaration. His life was more complicated than a viral headline suggests. He had loved before. He had experienced marriage, divorce, romance, and heartbreak. But Véronique became the woman who stayed with him through the longest and most important chapter of his adult life. On June 12, 2003, Gregory Peck died peacefully in his sleep at his home in Los Angeles. He was 87 years old. Véronique was still by his side. They had been married for almost 48 years. Véronique survived Gregory by 9 years. She died in 2012. By then, Gregory Peck had already become more than a Hollywood actor. He was Atticus Finch. He was the leading man of an earlier generation. He was an Academy Award winner, a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and an actor whose career had lasted for more than half a century. But to his family, he was something much simpler. A husband, a father, a friend, and a man who had experienced the same love and loss as anyone else. Maybe that is what makes his relationship with Véronique so meaningful. There was no need for a dramatic final confession, no need for a sensational secret. The evidence was already there. In the years they spent together, the family they built, the tragedies they endured, and the ordinary moments they shared away from the cameras. Nearly 48 years is a long time in Hollywood. In an industry where relationships can disappear almost as quickly as they begin, Gregory Peck and Véronique Passani built something that endured. And perhaps that is the most revealing part of his story. Gregory Peck spent his career playing men who stood for courage, loyalty, and principle. In his private life, his greatest legacy may have been much quieter. It was the life he built with the people he loved, and especially with the woman who remained beside him for nearly half a century. The movies gave Gregory Peck immortality, but the people closest to him gave his life meaning. And long after the cameras stopped rolling, that may be the part of Gregory Peck's story worth remembering most. If you enjoy discovering the untold stories behind Hollywood's biggest legends, remember to like, subscribe, and join us for the next story on Legend Discovery.